Welcome to Upside DIY. So I'm going to switch over the silicone to the clear silicone. I have half of a tube and I'm going to make the mold. I'm going to also make a spray mold, like a releasing agent. I do have a little bit of oil right here. I could probably just use a little bit of that. And then just go ahead and then I made this template. And then I made this small template. Just the tape that I used just split. But I kind of put this to the side. I also have some fresh chewing gum. Um, it could stay soft, and then I could kind of cut it into sections. Maybe use those for the front teeth. And then I'll be able to do different types of molding and drying for a day or two and things. And then I've got a clear piece of plastic, stuff like that. The underneath doesn't really matter too much. So the initial mold did hold a little bit, but I want to try to make it a little cleaner and cone added. I can try to mold the front if I had to. I'm not 100% sure, but most of the spots that I needed is pretty much refilled. So it could be X. So I just need a little bit in the front there. Just putting the fresh silicone and smoothing it out onto any of the and then I guess I'll redo the front also, or I just added just a little bit, not too much, just in case. Um, you know, the say like smoothness of just the whole thing. Maybe basically the front um, might add more dynamics to the cast afterwards. If everything's kind of showing up in the mold, and also you know trying to make it as smooth as possible, and then just kind of leave a little bit of slack, and then I don't even have to like fold the sides as much. um just kind of going it's actually pretty useful to fold the sides, but when to dry the silicone, it actually needs air and stuff like that. So eventually, during the process, you got to peel off some of the plastic to air out and get it to. So I guess I'll fold it. It's just more convenient to apply it. So it's still having a hard time at this one teeth in between and things, and just everything. I might have to let it dry and then also melt the plastic, and then I'll be able to cast it with maybe some fillers, maybe within the cast and things like that. Sanding and smoothing things. So this time it's first time after a few attempts, just getting the plastic, opening the plastic so that at least some air could free up, and then eventually maybe trim off some of the plastic, but just mainly the bottom layer, which came off, is pretty much the guide to just opening YouTube. So I'm going to do a quick review on this silicone. With molding and casting, you want to always be prepared to try it up completely, giving it air pockets or even using a hair dryer and things, to figure out. And most people would melt it, but there are some issues with just just debris on the outside of this. Really can't pretty much of where to pretty much it's going to basically provide the mold. Hope I didn't melt the rubber. So yeah. So it's like a few of the other sculpting molds. There are going to be a few gaps, things I'm going to try to fill in. And also, I might even, as I keep trying to mold, just add an even bead on top. I added some of the silicone, and I don't want to disturb things too much. Most of the time, people, or you can sand it and Dremel. I've got some of my Dremel tools and stuff. Technical within being for expectations, but and just the overall I didn't really want to press in the barrier just yet. So this might be a two-part stage into pretty much molding and or finishing up the mold. Just letting things dry up at first, and then with the YouTube. So I'm gonna do a quick review on this silicone. I went shopping. I spent like about so would be really useful just because there's a small curve and things. I also haven't had should trim off any excess or things. So this is actually the denture plate and mold, and then I have a plate and stuff like that. Try to glue that on, things like that. It could, if I break it down, it could be in 3 different sections or stages. But for now, I'm just going to use it for a mold, basically. So I trimmed off. I'm just going to put enough tape up there, and when I fill in the back, roll this tape and hopefully build up a nice even wall, I will call it. Alright, so I repositioned and gave myself a little bit of tape underneath just in case for emergencies. So I cut the piece of tape at the corner and I just folded it up. And now I'm going to just try to roll the tape onto the back and finish it up. So just to be a little clever about it, I'm cutting portions of the tape and then sticking it on. Okay, so right here is just the whole piece taped on underneath, and then trying to create a small barrier or a wall. I think, yeah, so I applied the oil and just trying to probably just have a thin layer. So let's go ahead and spread, and definitely don't have enough, but um try to use the Q-tips purpose and move this box. It almost fell, and now it's perfect. I could really get really detailed. Hold on. I'm gonna move this box. It almost fell. And as much and as much as I can, and probably make a thin layer of that too. But that's going to give me the main mold, I would say, and then the rest is just adding filler and supports. Silicone to spread out. I would think that I could actually add in the last piece of tape, or use some of the filler as a top layer. Some candle wax and a stirring cup and some clear silicone for this one. It says I have enough out of this with clear silicone, and then I'm going to make a mix of that and then add the squeezes of this clear silicone, and I'm going to add these candle wax pieces. So I'm mixing in a 3 to 1, so just 1 pinch or 1 amount of candle wax. And then, alright, so it's really useful to have a dirty side, and you know, just some of your items or supplies and stuff on one side, and even a third spare tray to put stuff away that you're not going to be touching too much. Fill it in. I think the you know, there could be this and that for a reason why, but I just want to try to use this stuff up since I mixed it. And this should basically be the top layer of the this whole mold with the mold release. So just trying to carefully. So on to the next thing. I've got the piece of tape, which I'm going to tape in the front, but it's really hard. I've got to see how I'm going to handle this piece. So I put the tape to the side, and now I'm just going to try to actually move this piece a little closer to the edge, especially where, and to kind of look at this. Alright, so the clear plastic, so it's not really, I can't really see too much except just in this corner. So if I could try to pinch the tape. So basically had to pick it up and then cut a little bit of the tape. There's 2 different cuts so that I could wrap this around. So I guess I'll show you guys. Something is getting really offline, but I'm going to try to finish this for now. Alright, so I had to pinch a few sides together, but it's completely wrapped. And it actually lined up evenly somehow. So yeah, one of the good things is I got to use up everything that I mixed, and it seems pretty useful. So this part was by far probably one of the coolest things to experience is, you know, making a mold, I think, but, you know, so this is one day after. I would hold the tape and then use my other hand and smooth it out. I could kind of see through the tape, and there might be some air bubbles, so I would actually also press on the template and then also pull the tape and try to get out as many air bubbles. The thing is, it's only been drying for half a day, and it started to harden a little bit, but probably later on today. And also, it getting stuck to the tape is also, you know, if I could avoid that, if I, you know, press it down is really important. So kind of covering almost everything. There's just a few, you know, there might be a lot of air bubbles, or maybe that's just so. And also, you know, so I could go step by step, just smoothing, just hold the tape. First make the crease and then smoothen up anything from the bottom up. So make the crease and then